So you guys actually really enjoyed my last video about the twins that I've posted the other day. Come2uS basically just decided to just band down their community and just fuck them in the ass. And now with the actual balance patch up and running, it's finally time for me to do some testing, see if the Shaina nerf actually was that impactful when it comes to an endgame player's perspective. Quite frankly, I've been recording this video 3 times now, over and over again, and every time I was finished with the actual video, I just sat there and thought, how should I actually clickbait it? And I think the best way for me to go about those things is just show you guys my speed teams and how much they improve, because I get a bunch of ridiculous times, and at the end, I'm going to show you guys my runes. So without further ado, let's get into the actual testing. I'm going to show you guys my 3 Kairos teams. Now, Giants B10 hasn't really changed too much in particular. I actually get a much faster team without twins personally, but since this video is about twins, I have to act like I give a shit and like this is actually viable. So let's just get into the fights, shall we? So I'm just going to one-take this whole thing. I don't know, hopefully my Galleon doesn't derp. Okay, my first Lucian derps, my second Lucian derps. So this is not going to be a 30-second run, which is definitely like my lowest time that I've ever gotten. Not actually with that team. I usually run something like a double Lucian, Aaron, Galleon, and as the last unit, it really doesn't matter. I have my Hilea on triple fight, and she's like one of these best supports as long as you speed tune her correctly, meaning that she needs to go 4th. But the way I have this team set up, basically it's just Galleon moving first, applying that armor break, and just my entire team derping afterwards. As you guys can see, like I'm not able to one-shot anything, but now we actually are at the boss fight, so let's see how fast this team actually is at the end of the day. And at the end, maybe show you guys my actual Giants B10 team, because if you think about it, twins are actually not that amazing. They really have not gotten buffed for Giants B10 speed teams in particular, but for other dungeons that I want to talk about later on. And as you guys can see, 49 seconds, that's really not that amazing, so might as well just show you guys my actual team comp and kind of compare those. So this is my actual Giants B10 team, and it's pretty much the same time, so let's just give it a try, shall we? Alright, so let's see if this team actually derps. Even though this one, like I'm only showcasing one run on each one of those teams, might as well just kind of give you guys the average time that I need. Now, I don't really farm all 3 Kairos dungeons every month. I mostly just farm like 2 of them just to kind of switch it up, not get bored. I don't really farm all 3 of them, despite the current meta. Like I basically only need to build like 10 monsters to actually farm all 3 of them. It's just like a personal thing, because that allows me to focus a lot more on my monster box. But I think so far this team is like a lot faster. If there's one issue that I'm having, it's my Hilea always using her second skill, because of course it has a pretty low cooldown, and that's the only skill that I don't want her to utilize, so that's kind of an issue. Her AI is kind of retarded, but let's see. And so far we haven't really landed all of the crits. We got a little bit unlucky, but I think this team is a little bit faster than my twins. No, it's actually the same speed, what the fuck. Alright, so for dragons in particular, I feel like the meta has changed quite a lot with the nerf to Shaina, but the buff to her leader skill, and also on top of that, they made it so that D.Va is OP. Now keep in mind that both of my chakrams are not fully skilled, so I'm gonna have to wait for the next Hall of Heroes to actually max out all of my chakrams. So pretty much the way I have this team set up is so that my Shaina moves first, afterwards I got my D.Va, and at that point my rogue just goes crazy. I usually have all of my opponents at pretty low HP, and I'm just able to basically clear them up. As you guys can see, that was like just one go right there. And I don't know about you guys, I'm probably gonna record one specific video about D.Va in particular, but I think she's just completely amazing. She's like one of my favorite chakram dancers right now. She's a lot more interesting than, let's say, Talia for instance. And this team on average gets like 35-second runs, so far. And also the best thing is it's pretty RNG proof. So let's see how fast this one actually is. I assume it's gonna be like 35 to 40 seconds. Let's see. Yeah, 36 seconds. That's pretty sick, isn't it? And again, I do want to just quickly compare my old Dragons B10 team to my new one. Now, this is the team that I've run for the last like 2 months or so. I actually built a second Vardahal just for that specific reason. And let's just get into the fight, shall we? As you guys probably can tell, like later on, my Rogue actually does not need both of my chakrams to move before him. It's usually just Shaina, but unfortunately for us right there, she derped, didn't use her second skill. That rarely happens. Like Shaina always uses her second skill, which allows my rogue to just go completely crazy. And with the team up ability, I usually have enough cooldown reduction to the point where I can use it on the next wave again, as you guys can see. No, she again derped right there. And he's on violent. She didn't proc a single violent proc so far, but my rogue does. Look at those additional turns. It's pretty crazy. But I think this run is probably not going to be as fast as the last one. It's probably going to be around 40 seconds or something like that. Vadaha really became a little bit outdated, especially with that leader skill of Shaina and also Deva basically. Like, you don't really need to rely on using a Vadaha, despite it having, I think, 4% more than Deva. So that's that. Let's see how fast this team is. Yeah, it's 51 seconds. Usually it gets about 45, but it's a lot slower than the team that I'm using now. And I want to show you guys my Necropy 10 team, which is also, again, completely crazy. I'm using quad twins again, no healer at all. So the way I make those sort of teams work is I do run a couple of shield sets on my units. If I remember correctly, I have like 2 of them. And as you guys can see, like, I don't even need to use my Raok's second skill or like passive to actually deal with this wave. It's basically just Shaina and Deva doing what they do best. I also do not have all of my twins on Violent Runes, which I'm going to showcase later on, but I think if you actually want to optimize your Necro runs, you probably want to have quad or 5 units on Violent Runes. No Revenge Runes in this team. It's kind of like outdated. It's more like when you only run Liches, for instance, but this is like actually the first time that I've actively looked into auto team. I usually just have the phone next to me. The best part about running twins personally is just the fact that they have very small margin of derping. Like, it's usually just 2 skills that they have to choose from, and they usually do enough damage anyways. So this run is actually a little bit below average. We didn't get armor break that many times, but I think we still get far below 1 minute. As you guys can see, my fastest run is like 43 seconds. That was like a couple of minutes ago, actually, believe it or not. So really good. And to go back to my old team that I used before this patch, it was consisting out of a Lucian and a Fran instead of quad twins, basically. So let's just see how well this team works. Now, I did realize that on the last run, I ran the speed lead. So I think with the attack lead, we might be a little bit stronger even. With the new team, I think it probably is going to be like averaging out at about 40 seconds or something like that. At least that's what I'm hoping. I'm not going to farm that much Necro. I mostly farm the Dimensional Hole, which pretty much drops the same amount of runes. But just judging from those times, I actually have to reconsider. Like, Will runes are going to be amazing, even if they are not ancient rune grade. And also at the same time, I do need a couple more vampire runes to get all of my units up and running. Like, especially Garrow is like one of my favorite units, and I think he could be interesting. So let's just see how fast this run is. But I think on average, we can pretty much say that the twin teams of after this patch are a lot better, despite the twins technically getting nerfed. It's just way better nowadays. You're getting like way faster runs, and the diversity that Comtist was trying to get us going with this whole patch really didn't work out too well for them. Yeah, and as you guys can see, I'm still getting below 1 minute runs, but it's a little bit slower and it's a lot more RNG dependent. Like, sometimes my Lucian just does not use amp magic, and using like quad twins really does come in handy with that. And now that we're done with all of the dungeon showcases, let me just quickly look at my runes. I want to showcase my twins runes. I'm probably also going to show you guys my Raok. Now let's start off with Talia, which out of all of my twins, she's actually the slowest. That's pretty obvious since her skills pretty much all depend on how much HP your opponent has lost, so it's a lot more beneficial for you to just move last. And pretty much I did run her on Rage Runes. I actually swapped her Rage Rune set onto a different twin that I want to talk about later on, but like all of the other twins, basically I'm running something like an attack, crit damage, and attack build. Her runes aren't that amazing. I really need to work on my twins runes. I'm farming like 24/7 right now, and I got like so many different monsters to build, but I'm pretty much, with the twins being useful in so many different situations, I definitely need to give them rune priority. I might actually use them in like some defensive towers in the future and kind of go from there. The next water twin that I got is my Sabrina. Now, she is nearly fully skilled. As you guys can see, I'm only missing one more skill up, one of the most important ones, but actually both are pretty important. You do rely on getting that armor break. Pretty much, again, it's going to be attack percentage, crit damage, and attack percentage. Slightly faster than my Talia, and that's pretty much all I need to go for. Now, Shaina, the one black sheep that everyone hates now, I think that she's still pretty good, especially with that leader skill. I think it kind of averages out on PvE, especially when it comes to speed teams. Pretty much the way I have mine built is on attack percentage, and attack percentage. I know it's a really weird build, but those are the stats that I'm getting with her. I need that accuracy. I need her to be pretty much my fastest twin while still doing a decent amount of damage. I mean, of course, if I had to decide, I would go for crit damage slot 4, but I think running attack percentage on her isn't that bad, and I kind of make it work with that rune. And the last unit that I was using, and kind of like one of my newest favorite twins, is Deva. Like, she's going to be amazing for PvE. She has HP based damage on her opponent's HP, which means that you want to run at least as much crit rate and crit damage as possible, especially with her being light. I think she benefits very much from having 100% crit rate. I'm running her on attack percentage, crit damage, and attack percentage again. Those are her stats. 228% crit damage. I think that's like one of the best sets that I can run on her. And so far, I have not regretted it at all. So yeah, I think that's gonna be it for today's video. I just really didn't feel like recording another one of those slow-paced guides on a topic that's pretty flashy. I wanted to show you guys my speed teams. I hope you guys enjoyed that. It's a little bit of a different video. Normally I do a lot more educational stuff, but I still hope that it was insightful and it does help you guys out when it comes to building your speed teams. Even though I was pretty much just using the same combos left and right, it still worked out just fine. I don't know about you guys, but so far I'm really loving this patch. So until then, see you guys in the next video. Bye!